there was one question, and this question was running concurrent experiments. And of course, there's also again stories of how many tests Booking.com are running per year and things like that. I'm not always sure that clients or individuals know of the sacrifices that companies like that are making in doing it. If you're new to the game of running experiments, what would tend to happen is you may run a small number. And so you can maybe have traffic going to one or the other experience. As you start ramping it up, this question of do you want to run concurrent experiments? I find it's a question that asks back is, are you happy to have that noise associated with the volume of, the swim lane of tests happening? And we've been talking about this internally of, visualizing it as well. You could have somebody coming in on a homepage, hitting a homepage test, hitting a product list page test, product page test, cart test, checkout test. And if you're constantly looking at one metric, and this is where I think it starts elevating that conversation. If you just talk about order confirmation and you're you're inferring the change on the homepage as a result of that, can get a bit noisy. And I would say the sort of advice is if you've got the bandwidth, isolate it. It's always the best way. But obviously there's a trade-off in the volume that you can do there. But I thought it would be an interesting one on, should you run concurrent experiments? Again, I think it does depend on the metric that you want to report on. And if you're just focused on a single metric, it can be tricky to get any sort of degree of certainty on it.
Yeah. I think you made a call out about removing, like talking about noise. So the more concurrent tests you run, the more noise there is. And it depends. You kind of clarified and elaborated on a little bit of that, which I think is valuable. Another side of that too is if you have 5 tests running concurrently, it's not just necessarily the end result of conversion or, whatever metric you're kind of optimizing towards that could be noisy. But I think if you have 5 tests running at once on one test homepage, one paid category, product, checkout, then the tests that we tend to run, or at least me personally, is a lot of these test to learn tests that you need the data to be as clean as you can so that the behavior observed in this controlled area is not confounded with other behavior. And the more noise you add, not only does the results get a little bit noisy, but the behavior gets shifted all the way. So Booking.com, first of all, it's like telling your kid to run multiple tests. If your kid's heroes like Michael Jordan, you wouldn't tell the kid just do everything that Michael Jordan does. Because in this case, Booking.com is Michael Jordan, just to be totally clear. But they have to follow a stepwise process to get better and then better and then better. And then maybe they could take some of the tips that Michael Jordan has to get to further optimize. That's a long example. But basically just don't look at Booking.com and seeing all the tests that they run and say, well, they're doing it, we should do it. Because they built such a robust experimentation program that they have they have how many dedicated data scientists to help delineate the noise. And you're probably not that robust to do that. And that's the level of practicality versus reality. You can do it, but practically, if you're a single person on an experimentation team and you're fighting to run a test, you might be shooting yourself in the foot by running a bunch of tests at once to then try and delineate that noise from those multiple tests too.
Yeah. Yeah. What I would say to that is if you're using the homepage category product again, where you can help is have some of those metrics in between the stages. So if you're doing a product page, then order confirmation, yes, you would like to see that go up as well. However, it can't be guaranteed that it's of that one product. Something like add to cart could be something which is more strongly associated with the experiment and is less likely to be in the noise of maybe on a homepage or definitely not with a cart or a checkout experiment. So I think it helps in going, where's the closest metric, which still adds value? And again, this is where, companies and businesses and stakeholders have to be okay with it not always being, say, revenue per visitor. If you're trying to make a change on a homepage, it might be a more behavioral metric, which, provided there's still statistical significance and you're moving in the right direction, is going to be helping you. But the alternative is, if you go, well, every experiment has to be completely clean. So, well, yeah, then we're going to be queuing up a lot of experiments. We're not going to run as many. And you're going to be effectively, optimizing in a slower way. So I think it's worth making concessions, which is essentially what you would have to do with concurrent experimentation. There isn't just a win-win. You have to understand that there are trade-offs in running it. It's not just, okay, well, we've done 4, now we can do 8. Why don't we do 100? It's like, you have to give something away. And that's that clarity of the end number, if you keep on wanting an end number to be the result.